What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Anyways, as far as the market's going, we're just kind of consolidating this morning. I do think we continue to do that for some time. But looking at the setup, there is still potential upside that could be coming to SPY if we do hold some key levels. I'll talk about what the levels are and what's happening to the charts in just a couple of minutes. Let's first talk about some news. So today is Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. At 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the 52-week bill auction coming out. Then we have Barkin and Cook from the Fed giving some speeches, which could cause some more volatility. Make sure you're ready for this just to be safe. On top of this, I just want to mention that we had some big bank earnings that just came out. And later on today, we have United Airlines announcing earnings, then ASML tomorrow. So as far as earnings go, just know that Bank of America announced earnings. They did relatively well. Their EPS was at 90 cents with revenue at 27.37 billion, beating expectations, but they did mention that there are some concerns about the macroeconomic environment with the tariffs and such coming out. So they did say to just be kind of careful because of that. Citigroup said the same thing. There are some concerns about the macroeconomic environment, but they beat on their EPS at $1.96 per share, above expectations. Same thing with revenue at 21.6 billion. So Citi and Bank of America beat on earnings. They had good guidances, but they are concerned about the macroeconomic environment for now. JP Morgan also had good guidance, good earnings. So that's some good news that the majority of earnings are good. And lastly, involving President Trump, he did make some comments about how he wants to see manufacturing come back to the US, and he's very excited about this news. He put this on his Truth Social page that Nvda is revealing that it wants to manufacture some of its AI chips in the US. So he said that's a great piece of news and that he wants to bring back manufacturing to the US. He doesn't want us to be too dependent on other countries. He said that, and besides that, we're going to listen to see what else he has to say. So keep that in mind. That's what we're seeing, at least so far. I'll keep you guys updated in case he says anything else later on today. So we'll just wait and give it some time. I'm pretty sure he will give more speeches and talk more about his tariffs. On top of this, what's happening to the markets is quite interesting. So yesterday, SPY was completely range bound like this. It was stuck in this range right here, and the range still exists. So we had this support near like 535 ish. That's where we tried to hold support. We had some tough resistance near 542, and we're kind of going back and forth like this. If we end up losing 535, we could be tipping to like 530, then 524 as our target, this range down here. And if we're bullish, I want to see us break 542. If that breaks, we're looking for an attempt to push towards 548 to 550. So that's going to be like the more bullish case. And then basically we're going to be pushing for 555 if that breaks to fill the gap. So those are your bullish targets. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, like I said before, we're range bound right now. So we're going to assume that's what's going to continue to happen for now. There's also not too much data coming out until we get some kind of catalyst. The market may just continue to consolidate like this. That's all I'm seeing for now. And then maybe later on we get this big push by the end of the week, if not by next week, to form kind of like a cup and handle, complete this. It does have a bullish setup. So that looks like the most probable setup for now, but we'll see just to be safe depending on what President Trump says and such. So look for some consolidation right now. We've consolidated during the pre-markets. We consolidated yesterday, and we're going to likely do that again. And then there could be a big move coming towards the end of the week, hopefully to the upside. I want to mention that the QQQ is looking more bullish. If we end up losing 453, we could be dipping for 450. If we break 460, we're looking for 465, then eventually 478 as our target. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of consolidate first, but before we attempt to push higher, I want to see us break 465. If that breaks, I do expect this to start launching for the 470s like this. So there is upside potential on the triple Q, but we might see some consolidation first before anything else. On the IWM, it's also just range bound. So, if you look at what happened since yesterday, we've been stuck between our 15, 20 EMAs, kind of like going back and forth between these levels. And there's not really a whole lot that's going on. So for the time being, we're just technically range bound. We're just stuck between the resistance at 188 and then supports at 184. So I anticipate we just go back and forth. But just to be very frank, if we break past 188, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to like 192. But we got to break that just for confirmation. I'll be watching to see if that ends up happening or not. And if we end up losing 184, we're looking for a dump back down towards 182. As of right now, we're consolidating, so give this some time until we get some more, bigger moves. Same thing with ES. Now, I do think it's possible you might actually see a small decline on this because of what we're seeing on the MACD, and also because of this right here. We might be retesting, the high 5300s before it attempts some kind of rebound move. So it might just consolidate like this, just like it's been doing for the past 2 days before it tries to push higher. If we break 5500, we're looking for a big push for 5608. Now, if we lose 5378, we're looking for a dip back down. This looks like a cup and handle, so I wouldn't be surprised if we consolidate first before we see some upside. So I'll be watching that very closely. We also have some consolidation coming right here on the Nasdaq 100. So we have 18,688 as our support, and we have resistance at 19,000. So we might just kind of go back and forth like this before it starts pushing for basically 19,300. So keep that in mind. There is potential in this, at least nonetheless. Um, for Bitcoin, we look bullish so long as we don't end up losing 84,000. We're still favoring a push for basically 87,000. Looks a bit more bullish to me. Tesla's kind of flat here. It's very, very much just stuck, guys. The last 3 days, this is all Tesla's doing, kind of like going back and forth like this. We did make a higher low, so watch this 245 area support, 255 is resistance. We might just go back and forth. If we break an old 255, we're going to 265 next to go higher. If we lose 241, we're dumping back down to 229. We're just kind of range bound right here. So there's going to be a big move coming. I do hope it's to the upside because we do have a possible inverse head and shoulders here. There's like a left shoulder and maybe a right shoulder forming, but we might see some consolidation first before we see the upside if we get that break. So keep that in mind. For Nvidia, we have a left shoulder here. We have a head and then a right shoulder, especially as we're trying to make higher lows. But notice that we're trying to just trade sideways. We got a little push here, came back down, pushed back up, came back down. So we might be retesting 107. We'll see if we bounce or not off of this. So give this some time. For Apple, we might be dipping back down towards this gap for 197. We'll see if we bounce. So give this some time as well. For Coinbase, we look a bit more bullish. We have a left shoulder headed in the right shoulder. As long as we don't lose 172, we're actually favoring 183 as a target or above. So I think we're looking quite good so far. For Amazon, we also have a left shoulder, a head, and then maybe a right shoulder. But the thing about this is that we're showing some weakness as we're below our EMAs. I need to see Amazon reclaim 184 to bounce. If not, we could be looking for a move back down to 178. For Meta, we need to reclaim two resistances at 537 and 550 to really bounce. I think we test 537 right now, and we'll see if it rejects or not off of that. It's still showing some weakness, kind of like Amazon. For Microsoft, I think we might retest 392. We got to break that to push for 400. It's going to be a tough resistance. If we lose 378, we're looking for a dip back down, but I'm favoring 392, then maybe above if that ends up breaking. For Google, we have a left shoulder headed in the right shoulder here. As long as we don't lose 157, we're actually favoring 164, then eventually 168 as our targets. So I'm anticipating some upside, at least for now. The VIX is consolidating, but there's going to be some weakness here, especially as we have this gap to fill. So just be careful and be very, very patient, at least nonetheless, as time goes on. So that being said, my view of the market is simple. I think we consolidate for a bit longer, but then there is some upside potential in SPY, the QQQ, and the others if these cup and handle like structures do end up forming and we get those breakouts. But there's no confirmation of a breakout yet until we get some kind of catalyst. Whether it's Jerome Powell tomorrow or President Trump announcing something that could cause a big move, we'll see about that. But overall, we're seeing some consolidation. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a good one, and peace out.